Our topic this week is word identification and phonics. And I'm going to take you on a tour of the presentation so you know what you need to do to be successful this week and to learn our new material. We're going to start with our story of the week, and I picked a story called The Runaway Pumpkin this week, and the story is by Kevin Lewis. You're going to watch a video of the story right here, and then brainstorm how you'll use this story in your weekly literature file. So you're brainstorming those activities for each of our subject areas. This will go in the weekly Dropbox for our literature study, so our weekly literature sharing Dropbox. Just to kind of give you some insight on the book, we have an author biography, a free unit for this book, Runaway Pumpkin, and a Google search that will take you places that you can find more information on this book. I also have a link for you here that will take you to some other activities. And I thought this was really interesting. This is an interview from the author, and it talks about how this book came to be. And I always find this is fascinating to share with students since, they're becoming writers on their own. And so it's really neat for them to get inside the head of the author of a book they're reading and know how he formed or she formed that story to be what it was today. This is the idea list, and in just a moment there'll be a video here so you can listen to my ideas for this book. We have a weekly message, and I'd like you to read the message, and it kind of introduces you to what we'll be learning about this week. For our warm-up, I want you to click on the link here, and when you click it, it'll take you to a Padlet board called a knowledge rating scale. Now, a knowledge rating scale is an activity that you do with students before you introduce a new concept to them. And this is something teachers will do for many reasons, but one is to assess their prior knowledge on new content. Now, a knowledge rating scale is where you are going to rate vocabulary words. And I chose 6 vocabulary words that we'll have in this presentation. You're going to just put your name and your ranking for each of the 6 words. And we have number 1 means you know the word and could explain it to a friend. So if you really know the word that I share with you well, you'll rate it a number 1. You'll rate it a number 2 if you've heard the word before, but you really don't know the meaning well. And you'll rate it a number 3 if you've never heard of the word. Now, just kind of a heads up, this is on Padlet, but I have the notes made for you. You won't be making any new notes this week. Instead, on my note, you'll be going up to the top right corner and hitting the pencil, and that will allow you to edit what is there. You'll just add your information on what's there, and then the next person will do so as well. Another heads up, our weekly journal question this week is to explain the importance of a balanced approach to word identification. So over the course of this presentation, you're going to find that there are two main approaches to word identification, and even within those 2 approaches, there's some specific components. Why is this important to have the balance of word identification? Why do we want to teach both sides and not just one? And back that up with information from your text or from our presentation today. We'll start with a sorting activity. And again, teachers do sorting activities to activate prior knowledge and to assess what a child knows at the start of a unit. So I want to know what you know, and it will also tune you in to vocabulary that you'll be learning about, and it should make you pay more attention to the answers and maybe make some more connections to them, and that's why this is a meaningful activity. So you have 2 choices for your sort today. First of all, you can just look at this sort here and you can write it down on a piece of paper, and you can submit your answers to the weekly participation folder. Excuse me. The other choice would be to go into D2L, and you can print this out. It's in the presentation file folder for our week, and then you can cut it out and glue it or paste it or write it in, whatever you'd like, and take a picture. 2 clues. If you notice right here and right here, we have purple. That means they are going to go in one of the purple boxes. I'm not going to tell you which one. You'll have to figure that out. but I will have a place for you to check your answers so you can see how you did. And that's where we're going now. This video will walk you through the answers, but it'll also give you an explanation of the answers. And so you want to be taking notes and jotting down information as you go, because this is important stuff. Now, our first component we're going to work on is phonics, and you're going to learn how children identify words. I have a chart here that explains the phases that children go through in word identification, and this is our podcast for this slide, so make sure that you take a minute and check that out. Then we move into the difference between phonics, phonemic awareness, and phonological awareness, and they are similar but different. And so I want you to read this article, and if you click on the red, it'll take you right to a link with the article. If you have any trouble with the link, go on to our D2L presentation file folder and you'll find it there as well. Sorry. Now, after you've done the reading and learned about the three differences, we're going to see how well you learned them. So we have two activities. The first one is another sort, and what you're going to do, again, you have two options, probably because the text is small on here and I had to fit everything on. Go into D2L to the presentation file folder, and you can open up this file. Now, you don't have to print it, you can just write from it, on a piece of scrap paper, or if you want to print it, go ahead and print it, cut it out, and do your sort. You're going to be sorting the difference between phonemic awareness and phonics. Then there's a middle category where that middle category will be kind of some both, or I don't know how to explain it. You'll find some things that maybe don't fit on either side. See if you can find out where they belong. The other area is a vocabulary quiz about phonological awareness. I'm going to be giving you a whole lot of new terms today, and I want you to take a minute to really see if you know them and how you can kind of make some meaning with them. So you might be able to complete this quiz just from looking at this slide, but if it's too small, go on into D2L. Again, presentation file folder has what you need. You can print it or just write the answers down and submit that for your weekly participation. I have both of the activities you just completed. The answers are shared in this video, and again, it's not just sharing answers, but it's teaching you about the components you were just manipulating. Then we're going to move on into phonics a little more clearly. I've defined it and also talked about different parts of phonics that you'll be teaching young children. We're going to do a try it out quiz to see what you know, and so get a piece of paper handy, and we're going to use an activity called concept circles, and this is where we have 4 components and you have to figure out which one doesn't belong, and the video will walk you through that. And I'm going to test you on phonics a lot like I tested you on phonological awareness last week. After your quiz, I'm going to explain the 2 different approaches that teachers take to phonics instruction. This is a podcast of this chart, and it will explain everything to you. And then I want to show you some materials that can be used for what we call the new traditional approach. You're going to learn about the traditional approach on the slide prior to this. This is the way that teachers are approaching phonics in a new traditional approach. And you can check out the materials here. This is a book read to you. You don't have to listen to the whole thing, but I'd like you to listen to a couple, maybe a minute, and just listen to how it sounds. Then I want you to check out some cool technology resources for you. We talked all about technology, and we don't want to overuse technology, but sometimes, especially for your visual and your auditory learners, these little videos can make phonics a little more fun and make some connections. So I'd like you to take a minute and just browse through these. There are 4 videos here. You don't have to watch all 4 of them from start to finish, but watch a little bit of each one. And then I want you to think about, from your phonics quiz, in what area of phonics are you weakest in? Is it diphthongs? Is it digraphs? Is it blends? Whatever it is, go on over to YouTube and search that topic. whatever it was that was weak for you. Find a video that matches that topic that you could use with students to help them practice the topic. So again, is it digraphs? Is it blends? Is it beginning sounds? Then I want you to copy the web address, the URL from YouTube, that wherever that video is you found, and then click here, and this will take you to a Padlet board. It's called Phonics Technology, and that board will have you share an example. You'll share what the video is about, and you'll share the link so everyone can see it. I have an example on that board for you, so if you're the first couple people there, check mine out. That's exactly what you'll do. And then head back over at some point this week and watch the videos that are posting. And you may want to pin some. You could even make a pin board. This will go under a phonics pin board, or you can make your own video pin board. But I thought it was a great way to share those. Then we're going to talk about resources in the classroom. And you'll see that phonics resources are all around classrooms, and it's something the students will rely on. There's a podcast in the corner, and that'll explain it to you. Then we'll move into high frequency words, and this will define and explain high frequency words to you. There's a podcast right here, and there are 2 links. One is to our Deutsch list, and one is to our Frei list, so check those out. And then I'm going to explain to you Word of the Day, and this is a video of how I did Word of the Day in my classroom, which is a high-frequency sight word program. It's a sight word program that I developed in collaboration with my curriculum goals for the district that I worked in, but this is my own take on how I like it to be done. And you can see all the different important parts from this Word of the Day. We talk about word walls and word rings. You'll read this slide on your own. And then we'll talk about what I called my classroom clothesline. And this is where I strung clothesline from one end of my room to the other on both sides. And I hung up things that were rule breakers. And these are words that don't follow phonics, which happens so much in our English language. Many of the times these are Word of the Day words as well. But I called them my hanging helpers because these are just some of the things that I hung on my clothesline to help the boys and girls remember difficult words. Then I'm going to show you the importance of practicing high frequency words, and I have 4 different videos of activities that you can use in your classroom to practice high frequency words. Mostly they learn high frequency words from memorization, and once they memorize the word they can read it. And it takes repetition, takes practice. Now, you do not need to watch all 4 videos from start to finish, but see if you can get the gist of each of the lessons and think about how you could incorporate that into your own classroom. The last component we'll talk about is decoding. And decoding is the basic building blocks of figuring out words we don't know when we read. And so there's 3 cues: visual cues to help children, meaning clues, and structure clues. So read about those. And then this is a strategy chart. And you're going to use that strategy chart to identify what this reader is doing. And so you're going to watch the video, and this will take you to that Educanon site where you're answering questions as you go. Just listen to the video. When it stops and has you answer a question, jot down your answer on a piece of scrap paper, and then you'll post that to the weekly participation Dropbox. The last thing I want to talk about is you do have a lesson plan project we're starting, and this slide will go over all of the things that you need to know. It is due February 14th, which is next Sunday, and if you need help with the Pennsylvania state standards or the curriculum alignment, there is a video in D2L under the project section for Lesson Plan 1 and Lesson Plan 2, and you can find that video there. It's labeled. This video will walk you through the project, and I just want to show you, when you're going through this project intro, the handout for Lesson Plan 1 and Lesson Plan 2 is together, because basically you're doing the same thing, but you're doing it twice. The first time you write a lesson plan, it's going to be for early literacy or emergent literacy skills. So those are the things we've been working on in our course so far. You're going to choose one of the topics or instructional strategies on the left-hand side of the project handout labeled early literacy and emergent literacy. One of those will be the topic of your lesson plan. There's a second column to the right that's labeled vocabulary and comprehension skills. We didn't learn about those yet, and you're not going to write a lesson plan on those yet. So just kind of forget it's there for now. Lesson plan 1 will be for our early and emergent literacy skills. Later on, you'll be assigned lesson plan 2, and then you'll come back to this sheet and you'll look at the second side. So I want to make sure you're clear when you watch that video. Your homework for this week is listed here. First of all, within our presentation, you'll need to submit that weekly journal. And again, the topic was explain the importance of a balanced approach to word ID. You will complete the weekly literature sharing and Dropbox it for the story The Runaway Pumpkin. You will complete the activities within our presentation. And what that is this week is you have 2, and those are Padlet boards. Padlet board for slide 4 is the knowledge rating scale where you're rating the vocabulary words. And then the phonics video sharing where I ask you to find a YouTube video that would teach a phonics skill. That's on slide 16. Then also, I had a lot of things I was having you do this week with sorting. So there's 5 things that will go in the weekly participation Dropbox. And this is the word identification sort from the beginning, the phonological awareness sort, the phonological awareness matching, that's the vocabulary quiz, your phonics quiz answers, which is the concept circles, and the decoding answers from the EduCanon video of the little girl reading Pugs in a Bug. And then we have our normal things. You'll have your pin board for word ID and phonics. You need 10 pins by the end of the semester for this. Also, you'll start your lesson plan demonstration, and remember, only from the early literacy and emergent literacy column. And for our next class, you'll skim chapter 8 and chapter 9. So I do know there was a lot going on this week, but I'd like you to kind of focus on as much as you can absorbing this information because it's very, very valuable, especially anyone who wants to teach kindergarten, first grade, second grade. This is the key components of the instruction you'll be giving them.